Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Gary Shipman. How you doing, Gary?
I'm good. Thank you, John. Thank you for having me on.
No problem, no problem. I'm busy tonight. I got a lot to do tonight, so I figured another show won't kill me, right? I'm already
Right.
glued to this chair all day today. So, uh, first off, where are you from? What state are you in?
Currently, I'm in a state of confusion.
Yeah.
No, I'm in Illinois, but
Okay.
I was born, not born, but raised in California.
Oh, okay. Got out of California. Good for you. Uh,
Yeah,
and you're a comic creator. I didn't get a chance to check out your stuff yet, so I'm gonna see it for the first time tonight. But the covers look really cool. So do you want to tell us what you the writer, you the artist, you do everything? What do you do with your
yeah,
comic?
yeah. I do everything. Created it, wrote it, drew it, lettered it, did the coloring on the covers.
Nice.
Um, there was some interior colors. I started to color the individual issues, and then decided not to do that. I kept it in black and white, but we did do two issues. And the first issue I colored, and then the second issue I had somebody else color, and then they got a job with Marvel. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so
Oh,
they aren't
cool.
coloring anymore.
How you doing, Emily? How's everything? Good to see you. Emily's always here. Just people watching. Did you get notifications? A few people have been telling me they haven't been getting notifications when I go live. So just make sure you got that bell and hit like and all that stuff that I never ask for. I always feel silly asking for all that YouTube stuff. So uh, let's bring your campaign to view over here. And for those of you who are watching, I just want to make sure that I hit the correct thing. Uh, Here is all your links. You could click here, and this is all of your links. Gary just sent this to me, and we're going to check out. I'm going to make this big, and I always ask this before I hit. Is this safe for me to hit play? Meaning like no music that's going to get me a strike or anything like that.
There shouldn't be. There is music, but I think it's a public domain or something like that.
Okay, I'm gonna play this. Pretty cool.
Thank you.
Pretty cool. Uh, so I got to ask because this is a mouse. Is this an all ages comic?
Yeah, it's all ages in the sense of like Star Wars or the MCU is all
Yeah.
ages,
Yeah,
more
I'm a
like
big
that.
fan of that. My comic is all ages too. You know, in the fact that we always forget that all ages, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit,
Yeah,
Narnia, Wizard of Oz, all great literature that stands the test of time is all ages. Marvel from 1962 to what I'll say 2015 was all ages. Some of the best comics ever made. So I'm a big fan
right.
of all ages comics. Hey, Courtney's here. How you doing, Courtney? Good to see you. We got Zach Tan with the drive-by blessing. How's everything? How's everything? And Marcus is here. How you doing, Marcus? How's everything? And some guy named Gary Shipman. He's in two
Hey,
places at once. He's in the chat and he's on. So this is your idea. You came up with this, the mouse Titan
Uh,
Mouse. I can't even
yeah,
say that.
Titan Mouse of Might. Yeah,
And I love these covers. These kind of harken back to like Bronze Age Marvel and comics.
yeah. That first cover there, number 7, is a tribute to Jack Kirby, and I think it might have been Joe Sinnott. They did a cover of Thor, where Thor and Loki are fighting,
Yep.
and in the background Odin, but in the background of this one is like a mouse being teleported. But
Yeah, I remember that.
that
I'm
was
trying to
the
remember the
inspiration.
number, but I'm sure Marcus remembers the number, but I'm trying to remember.
I
And I
want to
like,
say 146 or 147 or
yeah,
something like that.
around there. And then the second one is a Batman tribute.
Yeah, actually, that's just the mouse. I don't know. He does resemble like Bat Mouse kind of a thing,
Yeah.
but that has to do with the story, how I developed it. I originally did a series called Packins Land like 25 or 30 years ago, and it was nominated for an Eisner Award, and Russ
Oh wow.
Manning and Harvey never won, but it was nominated. And back in like 96, it was 95, 96. And from that series, this sprung Titan, Mouse and Might. He comes from, they're all in the same universe, the Packins Land universe. I think I have a book.
Oh, cool. Look at this. So I just like the old school look to it. You know, my comic kind of has the line across the top with the company, the corner
Yeah.
box.
So I did that after Marvel, obviously.
And
And then that middle cover right there, where it has the man holding Titan in his hand, that's a tribute to Frank Miller's Daredevil, where Kingpin is holding Daredevil.
Yep.
I don't remember what number it is, but that's another tribute cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the logo Titan is done after the X-Men logo.
Yep. The floating letters, the floating block letters. I love it. It looks so good. And this is your interior artwork right here?
Yes.
Wow, that is really good.
So yeah, that was a pinup that I did, kind of inspired by Star Wars, kind of a vibe.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. Okay, that's Luke and Leia at the
right.
That pit. Yeah.
Right.
I like this. So what is it? So is this a world of animals, or is this just like a mouse that gets powers? Like what's going on here?
Okay, so I'll have to talk about the other one. Hold on.
Okay.
So this is for the first series that I did, Packins Land, and it's about a boy who goes into a world of animals, talking animals, sort of like Narnia.
Okay.
And this is a omnibus that I did. It's about 515 pages.
Yeah, that's a big honking book.
Yeah, this is the one that was nominated. But anyway, so from this, I did this all those years ago. I said, how about if I was to kind of flip it and make it to where an animal was to come into the world of men? And so that's Titan. Titan is the reverse of, but it's the same universe. Yeah. So Titan comes into the world of men, and he's finds himself in a laboratory where they're doing like science experiments and stuff on animals, and he's wanting to free them and also find his way home.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow, I really like this. This is pretty cool.
Oh, thank you.
That eyeball staring. Yeah, it's funny because the colored art and the black and white art are just so different. Like this reminds me of Dave Sims Cerberus a little.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the stairwell going up to that doorway. This is really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of I want to appeal to a larger audience, but I really love black and white. It's like that's what I love to do. But I understand that people do like color, and so I want to make it available to people who enjoy color comics, but I just love the black and white.
Yeah, I get that. You know, some comics just let them. I don't mind black and white. I like black and white.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, this doesn't. I don't mean this to be an insult, but your art just lends itself to good black and white. You have a good contrasts. You
No,
know,
thank you.
Bernie Wrightson used to say it was more difficult to draw in black and white than when he knew it was for color. You know,
Yeah,
he would have to
Bernie
put in more.
Wrightson was amazing.
Yeah. So I like this. You have where was it? Oh, you got the hardcover, deluxe hardcover. Yeah, 1 to 9, so you can get all issues. Good. And
Yeah,
the 24-page each. That's 10 issues or 9 issues. That's not a bad price. Yeah, pretty good.
yeah.
Oh, my mouse. I think the battery's dying. It's wandering on me sometimes. Oh, cool. Original
So
art.
yeah. Originally, I did them in hardcover. So I have hardcovers here that are published already, and this collects like 3 issues into one hardcover, kind of an oversized edition. So I have three of these volumes, but then I broke them up into the individual floppies, which
Oh,
I have like 6 of them here that are already published. Also, the series was nominated for, or not nominated, but it was one of the finalists for the Heroic Award,
oh, cool.
which is Indie Comics Award or whatever. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, this looks great. So Zach Ted says, so do we have some Secret of Nim? I know that there's a cartoon movie called Secret of Nim. I've never seen it, so I don't know if what he's getting at with this comment.
Yeah, well, Secret of Nim is mice. They were in a laboratory kind of a thing, and they became empowered, became intelligent. And yeah, so it does have a Secret of Nim vibe to it. But I have to say that all the stuff that I do is, I don't think it's original. Everything I do is based off of something that I've seen from my childhood or whatever. I just love it. And so I Frankenstein it all together into one.
We all do that, right?
Yeah.
What do they say? There's only
Yeah.
4 or 5 original stories. Everything else is a twist and variation on it.
Yeah. And I didn't come up with any of those original stories either. So
They were written thousands of years before us. Hey, Grey
Yeah.
Wolf, how you doing? Excuse me. Just making sure everybody in the chat gets addressed. So I'll bring up your campaign again in a minute. So that's pretty cool. I didn't realize you've been doing this since the 90s. So have you only worked on your own IP? Have you ever worked for any other companies doing other stuff?
I've worked for a lot of companies. I've worked, I've done Marvel stuff, DC, Disney, Lucasfilm. I've done a lot of stuff, but nothing that would be like thrust into the mainstream. You know, I've worked on Halo, the characters for that game,
Okay.
Adventure Time. Boy, a lot. I've worked on a lot. Scooby-Doo, things like that, but nothing that would be like that would put me in the forefront where my name would be present. Do you know what I mean? Like how, like John Byrne does something and his name's all over it.
Oh, okay.
It's just the
You were
character.
never the main artist on a comic for another.
Yeah, nothing like that. I mean, I have done some covers. It's for Caliber Comics back in when they were
What
around.
you do for Caliber? I remember Caliber.
Actually, my series Packin's Land was published through Caliber, and then I did a cover of Oz, I believe it was, and then I think they did some soda thing, which was like a Dead World soda. I don't know if you ever heard of that. That came later.
I remember Dead World.
Yeah, so they did a soda, but then Gary Reed was the head of that, and he ended up passing away. So it all kind of came to a stop.
Oh, so I take it you said this all comes from stuff from when you were a kid. So were you a superhero kid? You a fantasy
Yeah.
kid?
Yeah, everything. Disney, superheroes, Marvel, everything. Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, I'm getting a Saturday morning cartoon vibe from this. This looks good. I I don't know if you know, but I'm a big board gamer. You can see I got stacks and stacks of board games behind me. But there's a game called Mice and Mystics that I thought of right away when I saw your comic, and it's a Dungeons and Dragons type game.
Okay.
You know, it's a board game with miniatures, and all of the characters were transformed into mice. So instead of swords, they have needles. Instead of shields, they have buttons. You know,
Right. Yeah.
things like that. But they're little miniatures, and it's cute. You know, and then you don't want to spend too much time in an area because the cat might come, and the cat's too.
Right, yeah.
You know, the cat is an NPC, so it's just like a cardboard imprints that you follow the rules to see if they hit you and land. But it's real fun, you know. And then there's a follow up to it called yeah, my screen is smoky and fuzzy. I know. I don't know how to stop. Is that better? Sometimes if I wave my hand in front of it, it focuses better. And if I put it on, is that, you know, that's because I put it on like super high definition. I don't know. Let me know if that's any better, guys. But there's a follow up game called Tail Feathers, and it's little mice and they ride birds, and they
cool.
have like jousting cups. I don't know. It just made me think of this. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, David, my camera look a little better at all? My glasses are fuzzy too. Everything's fuzzy today. So how many campaigns have you done?
Oh, I've done a lot. I can't even tell you. Does it tell you like on Kickstarter how many you've done? Yeah, it says 13 created.
Oh, okay. 13. And you fulfill them all? You get all the comics sent to your house and you mail them out?
Right, yeah. And then I've done Indiegogo too. I've done more on Indiegogo than I have on Kickstarter.
That was my next question because because tonight I'm launching my comic Heroic Tales on Indiegogo.
Okay.
I started out on Fund My Comic. I did pretty well.
Yeah, I'm on Fund My Comic too.
I did okay on Kickstarter, and then, you know, I'm hoping that Indiegogo is you know, everybody says Indiegogo is the best for superheroes and stuff, because my comic's not a hot sexy girl type comic, you know what I mean? That seems to be what Kickstarter these days. So we'll see. But anyway, I was going to ask you which one of the three platforms is doing the best for you?
Well, Indiegogo works the best for me. Hey, there's Fly Fox Pro. I know him.
Yep.
Indiegogo has always done the best for me. And then I think I've done two Fund My Comics, and that one probably is, maybe it's second. I just haven't looked at it that way.
Yeah, Fund My Comic doesn't have the name recognition yet, but
right.
I did pretty well on it. I can't complain. Consider it was my first campaign, and I launched on Fund My Comic. You know, I'm real happy with it. So, you know, I don't mean to turn this all about me, but I'm always picking people's brains.
Hey, it's your show.
Yeah, but you're the guest. I'm always picking people's brains because my comic is getting lettered right now, and then it's done, and then it's just pre-press and printing.
Right.
Yeah. Like, how long?
Yeah, I found that Indiegogo is the best, but that also was a few years ago. Back, it was before COVID. I did really well on Indiegogo, and then COVID hit, and it just wrecked the economy or something. And so now it's been like this really slow kind of go, you know. But I enjoy doing comic books. I just love the medium. I love telling stories this way. I love drawing. And so whether I make any money or not, money's a bonus, and it helps me to live.
Money, what's that?
Yeah, right.
I after two campaigns, I'm just about broke even.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about broke even as far as what it costs to make the comic. Now Indiegogo, I'm hoping I could recoup the printing and shipping.
Right, yeah.
Titan rocks. So there you go. You got a fan over here. Rick Moss says Titan rocks.
Rick Law.
So,
cool.
I, are you classically well? You had all these jobs in the art field. Did you go to art school? Were you one of these just kids that were just born talented and just drew all the time?
I drew all the time, whether or not I was talented, I don't know. I just love doing it. You know, the process of creating and experimenting. Man, I really have learned a lot because when I first started, um, I just loved it so much and I wanted to do it. I fell in love with John Byrne and Terry Austin's work on X-Men.
Isn't that the best? Isn't that
Oh,
is
it's the best.
to me that is the pinnacle of comic book art.
It is. That is
Comic book
amazing.
superhero art.
Yeah, it doesn't get better than that. Well, might be the same. There's other ones that are really good too, but they had a good run. It was really good. But yeah, I just taught myself, I guess, you know, and I would go to conventions, hang around with the professionals and watch them draw all day. Like my friends would go, they were more collectors. I was a collector too, but they would go off and find deals on comics and stuff like that. I would just hang with like Arthur Adams or Mike Mignola or, you know, different one. Really, Arthur Adams, I loved him when he hit the scene, and I would just hang with him and bother him all day, and wanted to draw like him and everything. But yeah, so that's how I learned. That was my school.
Okay. I was just reading Arthur Adams today.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you read the series. But this issue this issue is Arthur Adams, and then the issue right before it was Mike Mignola, two guys you were just
What
talking.
was it? It was kind of blurry. I couldn't see.
I know my camera's Cloak and Dagger.
Oh, Cloak and Dagger. Yeah.
Cloak and Dagger number 9, and then Cloak and Dagger number 8 was Mike Mignola, and before that was Mark Silvestris.
You know, the thing that was funny about Arthur Adams and Mike Mignola, at least to me, is Arthur Adams was always like the star, you know, in the early days. It was like Arthur Adams, he's the biggest thing. And Mike Mignola was like his little buddy that kind of would hang around. And he was a good artist, you know.
Oh, I love Mike Mignola.
Yeah, me too.
He's one of the guys, if I see his name on a comic, whether he's writing it or drawing it, I get it. You know, I get anything Hellboy, Mignola.
Yeah, but it was before. I'm talking before Hellboy, like when he did Rocket Raccoon and stuff like that. And he did Submariner or something in Marvel Fanfare. It was like nobody knew who he was. And one time I worked at a comic book store, and the boss or whatever, the owner of the store, he said, we're going to get Arthur Adams to come and do a signing of Longshot. So Longshot number 1, I think, was coming out, maybe 2. And we were there. Arthur Adams came, and Mike Mignola tagged along, and he was just standing there. And I was like, oh man, Mike Mignola's right there. I'm going to go in the back and grab all the Rocket Raccoons. And I said, can you sign these? And he said, yeah, sure. And the owner of the store is all, why are you having him sign those? I go, this is the dude that did it. So come here, sit down. So then it became a Arthur Adams, Mike Mignola signing. But Mike Mignola was like unknown. Nobody knew who he was. And then now he's become the hugest guy in comics.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I love his work.
Me too. I as mean as it is, but I remember the Rocket Raccoon series, 4-issue series, and I was like, this is okay for funny animals, but I don't want it superheroes, you know. And now I'm like, he could do no wrong,
right? You know? Yeah. Well, he's learned a lot. He's got
he refined, like to the point when he left Hellboy, you know. I guess it was just he made enough money or whatever, he could afford other artists, or he didn't want to draw, or he was working on movies. I don't know what, but he got like Duncan. I always say his name wrong. For Gredo to do Hellboy, and I was just so upset. But I learned to love Duncan's art too.
I'm not familiar with them. I kind of dropped out of the whole scene. Like as soon as Image, like the first issue Image, I don't know if it was Spawn or something, came out, I literally was out. I didn't even look at the book. I was just like, comics are dead. I hate this. And I liked all
Everybody's
the old
complaining
stuff
on Blurry.
like John Byrne and Frank Miller and stuff like that. That's what I liked. And it just seemed like it's over. Nobody's doing anything good anymore.
Oh,
So I
really?
quit for like 10 years. Yeah.
Fred Arago. I can't pronounce this name. Even spelt, I can't pronounce this name. Yeah. But Mike Mignola, I don't know why, but Mike Mignola, he spread out Hellboy into so many different comics. There was Hellboy, then there was BPRD, then Abe Sapien had his own series, and then a couple other series, and he had a whole bunch of other artists, like Guy Davies was doing the BPRD. But then Hellboy, there wasn't a comic for Hellboy for like 7 years. He was doing all this other stuff, and then when he came back, it was Duncan Unpronounceable, and I was just, but I was chomping at the bit for that Mike Mignola artwork, but I grew to love his work too.
Yeah.
But just comic book, I'm sure you could agree with me. Comic book people are a prickly pears, I guess I'll say. We don't like change. It takes us a while to warm up to things. Is it that bad? Is my camera that bad? I don't know what's going on. I know it's not very popular opinion, but I prefer Mignola. See, I like Mignola's art now. Like, a new Hellboy comic will come out once in a while. He still does the covers. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
John is a Hollywood star now, gets to use a blurry camera. No, I don't. I get to. I have to. I have two cameras, and I guess one's the blurry camera. I guess later on when I show comics on my table, the comics will be crystal clear and I'll be blurry. So I don't know how to fix this, and I don't want to start twiddling it while I'm live.
Yeah.
So I've been babbling about stuff. What are some of your? You said you kind of noped out of comics around Image. That seems to be like a current thing or people around our age. I wasn't the.
I think that, like, okay, so I might be controversial when I say this, but I don't think that Chris Claremont is the one that made X-Men good. I think that he would get talented people like John Byrne, Terry Austin, Paul Smith, Bill Sienkiewicz, things like that. They'd come in and they'd make it great, because he'd get some inferior artists on that run of X-Men, and it's just hard to read. And then after John Byrne was gone, and Paul Smith and whoever else that was good, it just became mediocre, lackluster, and it's like, they're not doing the right combination. They're not putting the right talent together to make a book that's outstanding. They're just taking the talent over here, put them over there, and we got someone that's okay, pair them up with somebody that's decent, and they aren't making that quality of a book. There's certain people that just sing, like Frank Miller, Klaus Janson.
Yeah,
they're just amazing. So that's what I think. Or people just got to do their own thing, I don't know.
I agree with you. I as far as the Chris Claremont, John Byrne, it was like the Beatles. Like when you broke up the Beatles, in my opinion, none of them really did anything as good as the Beatles. It was like this. It was these chemicals, like McCartney did some good stuff, Lennon did some good stuff, but you put them all together, and they did. Look at Led Zeppelin. When Led Zeppelin broke up, where they weren't that good. But Claremont and Byrne, and my argument is always, Byrne went and did a classic Namor. Byrne went and did Alpha Flight. He did Next Men. He did She-Hulk. He did the Fantastic Four. Claremont, he did X-Men, and then and then what?
Yeah.
But I quit reading X-Men at 204 was my last issue.
204.
And it was just they became whiny. Like before that, the X-Men would go into space. They would fight a mutant. They would fight robot. But somewhere around, I think once Byrne left, they became like whiny, everything. Whiny. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. So
right.
We just
Yeah,
want to
and
be
John Byrne was doing Fantastic Four, and that was amazing.
Yeah. One of the best comic book runs of all time. Yeah. I always subscribe to like the hot girl principle. Like a hot girl could get away with nonsense. Like when you're dating a hot girl, she could be a little crazy, but like John Byrne, he could be grouchy and kind of a prickly pear, but he put out such good comics, he could get away with it. Like
Right.
Alan Moore, he could probably insult me to my face, and I'd be like, "Well, I love you, Alan." Whenever I see Mignola's Batman, I'm like, "Grandpa, put on." Yeah, he does. He makes Batman look a little. He makes
a little thick.
Big. Marcus says, "I missed them going to the Australian Outback." Yes, but I've bought runs and runs and runs of the X-Men, so I don't know, because my database broke down. I forget what issue I'm up to. I think I'm close to 400, but I and then I got the Jim Lee X-Men, so I got a bunch of X. But I quit.
Yeah, I never got into the Jim Lee stuff. I think that Jim Lee is a good artist and everything, but to me, and I don't mean any offense by it, but it just seems like it's pretty pictures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I prefer like Frank Miller or even John Byrne. Even though he does pretty pictures, he also tells a story really well. And the things I've seen with Jim Lee, it just seems like he puts a pretty picture next to another pretty picture, and it tells a story, but it doesn't tell it great, And I think that maybe Frank Miller might be the best at that, like with Daredevil and Batman.
You just helped me clarify my problem with Jim Lee is every picture looks posed.
Yeah.
It looks like a choreographed photograph.
Right.
But John Byrne.
Now somebody who could do that is Bernie Wrightson. He could do a great picture and he could tell a story. It's like, wow.
Yeah, you just help me. Because people get on my case when I say this. I couldn't figure out what it was, but Jim Lee, it looks great. But it looks like posed photographs next to each other, rather than.
I guess I'm striking a chord with Marcus.
Yes. He says his brother from another mother. Not enough fluid motion. Yeah. John Byrne, George Perez,
Oh, George Perez, yeah.
They weren't afraid to put everybody in awkward positions, but like whenever I think of, and I'm sure somebody's going to pull out a panel and show me how I'm wrong, but it always seemed like Wolverine was perfectly posed, and all the women were perfectly with their backs arched, and like they weren't in that like just got punched in your half rubber position,
Right.
Yeah. I keep getting these messages because my wife is out in the backyard. A feral cat just had kittens in that backyard, and we're trying to trap them. And
good luck.
We got 3 out of 4 of them. And the last one is too terrified to come out from under the deck. So my wife is pacing the back deck, and it's setting off the motion center. So I keep looking down. I just got to turn off the phone. But please, my wife, she's been crying all day trying to catch this poor little kitten. Just
wow.
The other ones, and they're the perfect age. They're healthy. They're gonna get adopted out. Just they're cute. And she won't let me go back there and see them because she knows I'd keep them. Are you an animal? Well, you draw mice. Are you a cat dog guy?
Cat. I like cats.
Me too. I love dogs too, but dogs are work, and I don't want to do any more work.
Yeah, cats are work too, but dogs are a lot of work.
Dogs are a lot of work. I got to rebuild the fence because if I get a dog, I want to get like a Tibetan Mastiff. I want to get like a big dog, and I got to make a fence that thing can't knock down on that. I don't want to do it. Claremont Bird, Austin, yes to the Beatles. Yes. Do you do your own lettering?
Well, I do it in the computer. But yeah,
I don't think anybody does like what do they used to do? The little circles and write them, and I don't think anybody
the
does that.
Ames guide or whatever,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you draw the lines, and it's that would be brutal.
yeah.
Yeah, I got too much on my plate to color. I would love to. I'm not color, letter. I would love to, and there are some like sound effects and stuff. Like even that cover, the "You're Guilty." Um, I did the guilty part. I hand lettered that into the artwork. So, I like to do sound effects and stuff like that by hand.
Would say Bird made Wolverine great. I wish he had taken Austin with him on FF. Yeah, I will say you're absolutely right. That the Hellfire Club issue when it was like Wolverine strikes out alone, and you see him coming out of the darkness. That was the breakout issue that made Wolverine what he is today. You know
Yeah.
that I remember that, and I took a class my junior year of high school. Shows how old this class was, and it was called Young Lawyers, and it was we had to like act like lawyers, and they would set up mock trials, and we would all take turns being the lawyers and arguing a case and whatever. And behind the judge, the teacher acted like the judge, somebody had drawn that Wolverine coming out of the darkness. And everybody used to say, "Who is that? Who is that?" And at the time, I was terrified of people knowing that I was into comic books. So I would pretend I didn't know who it was, and they would just go, "Some evil guy who'll kill you if you like." Like they didn't even know his name. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then like a year later, everybody knew Wolverine. So
Yeah.
that those panels really made it, and that's all Byrne. And I agree with you. I wish Austin went with him on FF, but I think Byrne wanted to do it himself. He wrote, he drew, and if memory serves, I think he lettered it too, but somebody else colored it. I still have an Ames guide. I don't know what an Ames guide. What is an Ames guide?
It's basically like a template. It has like I don't have one, but it's sort of like one of these deals, and it has like holes. Like this, I could use as an Ames guide, and you put a ruler down, and then you slide this, and you can put your pencil in the hole, and it makes every line straight to where it's the right, leading for lettering and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And you can get them still, and that's the old school way of they would letter right onto the page.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Before the inker usually.
I can't draw to save my life. So I love hearing about stuff like that. Like I'll watch draw streams of people drawing and they show their techniques. It's fascinating because I drew with a pencil with my friends in school. But I couldn't draw to save my life. Oh, Gray Wolf, a little dog died a week ago. He's 15. We had him for 12.
Wow.
Like I say to my wife, when you get a pet, it's going to end badly. It's a time release tragedy.
Right.
We had to put my cat to sleep, but the vet came to the house. We were holding her, and I keep telling my wife we did the right thing. It was the best case scenario. This poor cat couldn't move anymore, So that's what you do, and then you go get another one because we're gluttons for punishment. I prefer to eat chicken. Who doesn't? I met one person in my life who doesn't like to eat chicken, and here we got Titan Mouse. So does he have superpowers?
He does.
What are his powers, or is that a spoiler?
No, he has strength. He's able to. I would say he's able to take on a human, and he's able to like break through a wall and things like that. But the thing that would be like his kryptonite is that he has PTSD.
Oh.
And once he starts going into like an episode, if something triggers him, he'll start to stress out. It weakens him, and then anybody could take advantage of him and stuff like that.
I call that a Marvel weakness, like a realistic weakness that not just the color yellow. I bust on poor Green Lantern all the time, but that's the example. The color yellow is the kind of stuff that I hated as a kid. But PTSD is a realistic, real, and
Right.
it's the kind of weakness that draws you in and creates tension and makes you interested in the character, not the
Right,
color,
yeah.
yellow, you know. And then everybody you happen to fight has the color yellow on them. It's just
So
early
with
DC. Not my
Green
favorite.
Lantern, does Sinestro, is his weakness green?
I got Marcus. It was early Sinestro's weakness green? Because if that case, they should just land on the planet and box.
I know. Throw the rings off and just.
But Claremont did write a lot of X-Men books. Yes, I don't want to dismiss Claremont. You know, Claremont wrote. I think Claremont trained John Byrne to go off and write good stories. You know,
I don't know.
You don't think so?
No. I think that Claremont knows what he's doing, but he also knows how to lean very heavily on someone who's talented, and that was John Byrne. Same with Stan Lee. Stan Lee leaned on Steve Ditko and Jack
comics.
Kirby.
It's 50% art, 50% writing. You know, like it would. Like
yeah, I would even say that it's not 50%. I would say maybe 75%. John Byrne, 25%.
Oh, maybe there's too much white shirt people will bust my chops. I'll change my shirt for the next show. But RJ from the Fourth Age is of the belief that Chris Claremont did so well because Jim Shooter came down on him and kept, you know, this is the story. Do it like this. You know, gave him a hard time, as like an editor should. Yeah. You know, and then when Jim Shooter was left, coincidence? You know, John.
Yeah, maybe.
No classic.
Maybe.
You know.
Yeah, I loved.
I think there's a bit of truth to that. Byrne won solo, but not as good on the list. Yeah, well, he was burnt out. What was he on it for 6 years? He was on it for 6 years. And what did he only last 2 years on Alpha Flight? You know, but he was what, writing and drawing Alpha Flight, and writing and drawing Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I don't like a lot of everything that John Byrne does. I liked his X-Men. I liked his early Fantastic Four. He lost it for me with Alpha Flight and Man of Steel.
It's I forgot about Man of Steel. Yeah. I mean, like Man of Steel because that was the first time I collected Superman. So that was like I picked up a Superman comic every once in a while. Nowadays,
if you put the pages next to each other, X-Men and Man of Steel.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with art-wise. I totally agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. I've been getting some of his early Charlton stuff, like Wheelie and the Chocolate Punch and Doomsday +1.
Yeah,
he had such thick lines back then, and I don't know if that was on purpose or he gained controls of his lines later or whatever, but you could see like proto John Byrne work evolving into what we love. But as I was saying, now as an adult, when I see some Silver Age Superman, man, I'm loving how like wholesome and charming it is. You know.
Did you like Neil Adams?
Yeah, Neil Adams. It's funny because when I got into comics, Neil Adams had already like moved on. Like I started collecting comics in '74. I'm 56. Right. So to me, it was John Romita, John Buscema, and John Byrne, and then George Perez kind of started at that same time. So those were my guys. And then when I started to see Neil Adams, I didn't know. I was a kid, so I'm thinking this guy's ripping off John Byrne. You know, meanwhile it was the exact opposite.
Right.
Yeah. Matter of fact, like when John Byrne did that like Phoenix effect with like the wiggly lines, I used to call that the John Byrne effect. And then later on I realized that's the Neil Adams effect.
Right.
Yeah. And I said this many times. I hated Jack Kirby back then. You know,
I used to hate Jack Kirby too.
That was old-fashioned comic books. You know?
Man, I couldn't stand it. Now I love it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my goodness.
When I started working at the comic book store, like I got bullied into admitting that, okay, he's great, but he's dated. And then around college, I was just like, no, he's absolutely great. Like he invented the language of comic books. You know, him in Will Eisner. And Will Eisner, I really didn't know until I think college. There was no Spirit comics coming out.
Yeah.
And back in the 80s when I was in high school, early 80s, I wasn't buying a contract with God and stuff like that. That's not what I wanted. I wanted superheroes. So, what is David Elise? It's a visual meeting with writing, yes, but I lean towards the art first. I don't know. What do you think about this then? This is a good comment. There's always comic books. Who's more important, the artist or the writer? I say both because we need both. But I will say good art will draw me to a comic, but good writing will get me to stay.
Yeah. I think the difference between like a comic book artist and just an artist is that a comic book artist also is a writer because they're conveying a story with the pictures.
Absolutely.
But then there are people who are just artists and they can draw pictures and they don't maybe have that skill set to tell a story.
Right. If Marcus says Eisner didn't like superheroes. Matter of fact, Eisner wanted to get rid of the mask on the Spirit, but they wouldn't let him remove the mask. But that's why I didn't know who Eisner was until I was in college. I started reading Maus and like I was like, I wanted to get into like the frou-frou comics, the artsy comics, the comics that like the art school people, because I still into laser beams and spaceships and superheroes and Wolverine, you know what I mean? So
right.
College is when I started to find out about Eisner. I'm glad I did. But yeah, like A Contract with God is one of my favorite comics. And actually, I take that back. A Life Force I like even better. But I didn't know that until I think my second year of college. To be all pretentious, I had to go and read all the the critically acclaimed comics.
Right.
There was something here. Somebody mentioned something, but now it's passing me. Oh well. So, who are your biggest influences on your comic, Titan?
Well, it's everybody, from John Byrne to Neil Adams, Frank Miller, Klaus Janson, Bill Sienkiewicz, George Perez, Jim Starlin, Bernie Wrightson. I just everybody. I love them all.
What is there anything you look like, any new comics that you still get now?
Not really. What I've been enjoying lately has been like these artist edition things, like these.
Yeah, I want to get them, but I got to stop myself from spending money somehow.
Yeah,
those look good. But everybody who's an artist,
loving again.
I can't draw. I'm just writing. Everybody I know that's an artist is buying those. I know Fabrizio Aiello is getting the John Buscema one. He says he just studies them like textbooks.
Right. Yeah.
The Titan Artist Edition is amazing, says Rick Law.
Oh yeah, I have one too.
This is your biggest cheerleader over here.
Yeah, that's my friend Rick.
That's good.
I have an artist edition. Hold on, let me show you.
Sure. I'll read this comment while you're getting that. Grant Morrison, Miller, Millar, Alan Moore. I go for the writing and Bendis back in the day. Kirby is king. When I was young, I was. Why Kirby? When I was young, I was. Why were you an asshat? Oh, look at that. And Walt Simonson. Don't forget Walt Simonson. That is gorgeous.
Yeah. So this is the closest you can come.
I didn't realize how big it was until you moved it.
Yeah, it's just the closest you can come to seeing the original art without seeing the original art. Oh, look, there's that cover.
That is cool.
It's hard to show it this way, but
are you is this your full-time job? Do you do this?
Yeah. Full time.
Oh, good for you. Let's see. I go for the writing. Yes, I'm not going to lie. I'm shallow. I'm going to see the art, and if the art doesn't strike me, I'm not going to pick up the comic. But if I pick up the comic, like early Image comics, a lot of the art was kind of cool. I picked it up, I looked at it, and then I put it down. I didn't stick with it. I didn't particularly like it. And when I was a teenager, I didn't have as strong a personality as I do now. Like I didn't voice. I don't like. I just quietly was like, I don't like this. And when other people asked, I was like, oh yeah, Midge is great. But like I was like, am I the only one who doesn't like this? Not
Right.
nowadays. I'd probably say too much. When I was young, I dissed Kirby. Oh, I got you. Yeah, me too. I used to say like the women were ugly, that all the hands had sausage fingers and stuff.
Right.
Wrong, but I wasn't wrong. They did have sausage fingers. Kirby wasn't, as far as I know, I don't think he was known for his beautiful women, but he was known for his imagination, his action, his energy. His just like his storytelling was phenomenal. All the stuff that, like you were saying before, some people just do beautiful pictures, but it's not a comic. My
Right.
biggest example of this is Howard Chaykin. As much as I love his artwork, it's static images on paper, and the words are the connective tissue, rather than for well, you're a comic book guy. You I don't have to explain to you, but it's storytelling. You need the images and the words to give you this illusion of momentum through the gutters. But
Yeah.
Howard Chaykin. It's just, if you take out the words of a Chaykin book, you have no idea what's going on. None.
Yeah.
But if you take out the words to a Kirby comic, you could figure out the story. You might not know that this guy's name was Phil Moskowitz, but you'd know what Phil Moskowitz was up to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, at 8:00. I'm doing another show. I'm gonna do it's called It's Clobbering Time, where I take characters and they battle it out. So I'm just giving you a heads up warning. Is there anything that you wanted to say, anything you wanted to talk about that me and my blathering didn't give you a chance to talk about yet?
No, I enjoy just talking comics and stuff.
Yeah,
I'd appreciate if everybody would go check out Titan Mouse and Might on Kickstarter. We have about 6 days left on that campaign, and give it a look. Kick the tires.
And here's your link tree. This has like your Instagram and
Yeah.
all your socials, as everybody says these days.
Yeah, that has my YouTube channel, my Whatnot. I do live drawing on Whatnot.
You do live drawings. Cool.
Yeah, I'll even do it on YouTube as well.
See, I'm the kind of guy that will watch like one episode of Forged in Fire, and I think I can make a sword, and then
Okay.
I'll watch you draw something, and I'm like, yeah, I can make a comic book.
Right.
My wife and I, we went through a period where we watched like every episode of Forged in Fire. Fortunately, I lived in an apartment, because if I had this house, I think the next day I would have been outside in the backyard building or whatever it is, a bellows
or something.
burning down my fingers.
Right.
Since we moved, that urge has subsided. And I like this. You could get all the back issues, which I think is important. Because comic book people are prickly pears. I don't want to jump in at issue 9. I got to jump in and get all of them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We got everything. So
My uncle had a forge. Did he burn down the house? Did he burn down the house? Like, because that is so dangerous. All right. Well, I'm going to close this out because I got to take a couple of minutes to prepare. I got to go change my shirt because I think this white is causing problems with the camera.
all right.
So, all right. Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Kickstarter. Check out Titan Mouse of Might. Volume. Oh, it's on Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Yeah, it's on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and Fund My Comic.
I guess I'll ask you one last question before we go, because again, I'm always picking people's brains, especially people who had successful campaigns. You don't mind having your campaigns competing with each other? Because I did Fund My Comic, then I did Kickstarter, and now I'm doing Indiegogo. And I had something exclusive on each site.
I think that there are people that prefer different platforms.
Right.
And you're not really competing with yourself. You're offering it to people who enjoy that way of getting something. So it's just like having it. It's like having it at Walmart or Target.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. And Logic Finest always has a good comment. I lean towards the writing. Great art without good writing is just a poster with some words. I agree. I agree.
I agree.
If the story's no good, then we got Image Comics again, and look at how that.
Right.
I don't see the point, but that's the preference. Comics should be 50-50. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's got to be a good story, and if
right.
the artwork in it,
I will suffer bad, not bad art, but I will suffer subpar art if the writing is good. But
I think what my argument is that it wasn't Chris Claremont that made X-Men as good as it was. It was John Byrne with his artwork and his writing,
right,
that made X-Men.
he was
so good.
co-plotter. Yeah,
right. So it was more John Byrne that made it great than it was Chris Claremont. I'm not saying that it wasn't the story, the awesome stories.
right.
So,
and who's going to join us? It's an open invite for It's Clobbering Time. So if you want to come back and argue Captain Marvel versus Beta Ray Bill, that's you're totally welcome. But I'm going to shut this down. I got to go. I think this shirt is just messing with the camera. It makes me look like a fuzzy ghost. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye.